Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, goodness. How's it going?
Much better today. Yeah, much better today.
Doing all right.
Doing all right.
Been blown around this wind. It's been windy every day for how long? Like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like it. It's quite often. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm feeling caught up from my 3-month excursion. I'm still very immersed. I wouldn't say very, but still involved in the family's uh, that I'm caretaking for. I'm still involved in that probably for another 2 or 3 weeks. Um, yeah, so our son is here living with her, and it's on a trial basis just to see if they get along, if it's going to work, if he feels comfortable with, taking care of his mom. And so I'm just there to check in and help him and guide him and coach him and um, notice anything that I might notice that he may not be aware of, just things like that. So seeing how it goes.
Nice. So the transitional phases of life.
Yeah. Because care, I mean, you think, if somebody said, hey, your mom needs help, can you come live with her is one thing. But when you say your mom needs a caretaker, that's a whole nother department. Let me tell you what, it's not about you anymore. It is not about you anymore when you're caretaking, because you have to be attentive to, especially with somebody who has the onset of dementia.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be aware of all the details. You have to watch them. You have to, be able to point, catch on to when their wheels are spinning about something, and you got to interrupt that and go, oh, what are you thinking about? Right? It's just being very attentive to them and their needs,
Yeah.
even as much as cleaning their glasses. Like, she forgot to get her glasses this morning, and I went and got them for her, and I looked at them like, good God, even if you put these on, you're not going to be able to see very well because they were so dirty. So, it's little things like that they need help with. And unless you're aware of it, you're not going to know to do that.
Yeah.
People, you want to, you haven't been around your mom in a long time, and then you you're not sure what to look for, or you might have these certain, like, that's my mom, that's, my expectation is she's okay, but in reality is her memory's not all there. She forgets things, she needs help with certain things, she doesn't know to do certain things, right? So it's like you have to be that person to fill in those blanks for her. And if you aren't on top of your game, uh it could go south.
Yeah. I'd say in a lot of ways, it's like taking care of children in a lot of ways. It's because you're like a guide for them. You're just kind of around to be aware, but you're always constantly aware of them. Like you said, because you're not taking care, it's not about you anymore. It's not because your focus is constantly on those around you or that person
And
around you.
it just popping into my head, and I'm not saying this is the circumstances with this relationship, but the thought that, oh, I'm gonna be able to spend time with my mom, and we're gonna bond or whatever that might be, or maybe there's some healing to do. And with the state that mom might be in, that ain't gonna happen. Like, seriously, this is not about, it's not about you and the fact that your life, your typical routine or the way you typically live, you got to set that aside. When you become a caretaker full time, it's like your life who got set aside, and you are in service like every minute of every day, as long as you're in their presence.
Yeah.
So you know, when she's up, you need to be up. And I say that because she's supposed to be, she has a walker, but I call it her scooter. And she's walking around outside without her scooter. It's like, if she's up, you need to be up. You need to be attentive to her. You need to be watching her. You need to be guiding her and helping her. It's not stay up all hours of the night, sleep in, and then when you get up, now you start. It's like, no, it starts when she starts. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh my, I think he's it hasn't hit him yet, really. Because I went over there this morning, 9:30. He was just waking up. She got up at 7. You know, it's like, I had my mother-in-law see her walking outside without her scooter.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, come on. But this is also, it's not my place to fix it, but it's also, you know, it's a journey between them two right now.
Exactly.
And I can't fix that. I can't step into that. I can be attentive to her and what I can do for her from my standpoint, but the journey that they're on together, this is something between them.
Yeah.
And they got to decide if this is going to work or not, if there's going to be harmony or not, if there's going to be healing or not. You know, it's like, I'm there to play my part, but not be the fixer or the I don't know. It's just is right now.
That's a process too, to be able to let go of that, because you know how things have worked and how they've been working. They've been great. Now you got a whole different dynamics again, just like every time family members would come in with everything else. And then what hit me when we were talking, or when you were talking, is you talked about, you know, sometimes we're looking for that healing with that person, and healing's really an inside job. It's not, regardless of how, whatever they tell you that you're looking for in your life, gratification, appreciation, being noticed, being heard, whatever you're looking for, it has nothing to do with that other person. And that for me has probably been a struggle for a long time, because I used to think when someone drank, it was against me. You know what I mean? When they constantly drank all the time, it was against me. It was something, I went through the process of something I was doing wrong. So it's like, it wasn't, it had, and now I know, for me, in the journey that I'm on, where I've now gotten onto this path, that I know that all that was letting me know it was never about the other person. It was always about me. It was always about how I was seeing things, because there were so many things I could have appreciated besides noticing that one thing that we get hooked onto. So I find life interesting most days, and some days I'm like, yeah,
That's right.
peace out, mother. But mostly I would say I'm not in that space. And then it's like, I end up not feeling well for the last, 48 hours or whatever. And I know it was to let me know to slow down, quit trying to do things, quit trying to go, you know, it's all the stuff. And it's like, and I know I'm in a 7-year, which I've been looking at again to my personal year, because it really is to slow down. And the more that I try to do can be construed as pushing against. And the more you try to do that, it's not. You know, it's interesting, because I'm kind of wandering off on this. We talked about this, and we talked about you and your 7-year, and sometimes at the beginning of this year, I think, we talked about sometimes it's so depressing. I have never really considered myself a depressed person, but I have had so much depression feelings, but it's because it's an introspective year. I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at all these things. And it's not always easy to look at. And sometimes it's frustrating, because you didn't have those tools then. I couldn't have had them. Even if you tried to give them to me, I'd have been like, nah, I'm good. But I didn't have them then. So now I'm doing all this life review. I would say a lot of life review, because I have these desires that I want to be further on my path, and I can't get there from where I'm at this moment. Just like I couldn't have got there last year feeling the way that I feel right now. I had to go through someone transitioning. We just had my daughter, her ex was just shot and killed this past week. And it's like, which in turn, she ended up sick. And then I had my reasons for why I ended up sick, because I looked at my amazing book that has stickers all over it, The Secret Language of Your Body.
I'll show
You've
the
got it.
people.
That's right.
I show the people. This is our go-to book. Okay, go
It
ahead.
really is. It's so beneficial. It tells you, it's got, and I wouldn't call them prayers, but they're statements or however you want to look at them. But it's ways for you to kind of take control of how you're feeling and kind of let go or just see some of the stuff. And some of the stuff I could look at before and read it, and I'd be like, that doesn't resonate with me. That doesn't make any sense. But now I'm at a place where like a majority of it makes sense to me.
No, yes, yes, and yes.
Yes, it's like, wow. And then what do you do with that? Well, then it's got statements or a prayer in it. It's something to look at what to do with it. So it's just, it's been an interesting journey, and I never would have, I've never been that much into numerology, really. I mean, I would do a little bit of it here and there, but it's like, this has made so much sense to me. Just knowing my year number, it's just let me know kind of where I'm at. And it helped with you telling me the stuff that you were going through, because you would have days that were so up and great, then all of a sudden you were slammed back down to the ground. At least that's how it feels like. Someone
Yep.
knocked you back down. Yeah.
Last year was like that all freaking year. I was
Yeah.
so frustrated. And yeah, things so people know my personal year last year was a 7, and that's all has to do with numerology, so you can go look that up. And it was all about self-reflection. And last year, 2020, I wanted to forge ahead. Like I wanted to push through, get things done. I wanted to be further along than I was, and something just kept pulling me back and pulling me back. And some, I keep hitting these roadblocks and just bumping up against stuff and a lot of resistance. And it took me a little more than half the year to realize I was in a 7 year. And because I haven't really been living my life through a numerology year. And that 7 year was telling me introspection, take a breath. You still got some healing to do. There's still some mindset shifts that need to be done. And going through that process, now I'm in an 8 year, which is where things start coming to fruition. And had I not done the work last year, what has been happening for me this year, just in these first 4 months, wouldn't have happened. Like it would have been a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And in these 4 months, it has been all about caretaking. There's been a couple business things that needed to be done that I had to, take a breath with and to say, it's going to be okay. Things are in divine timing. I've been put in this position to be able to be here for this family that is near to and dear to me and be able to help them. Had I not done that work on myself last year, this experience for caretaking would have been way different for me.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't have been as present or even made myself available. It's not that I made myself available, it just worked out. I was available, which was a blessing in itself, and almost like a miracle that the way things have unfolded over a period of time, not just the past year, but over years, how it led us to the point where they made the phone call to me and said, hey, we need your help. And I've been there for them for almost 3 months consistently, and my life has been pretty much set aside, and I'm showing up the best way I can in both areas, but the caretaking has taken a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
And so having the opportunity to have that 7 year last year, I was able to share that information with Bev, because knowing she was going into a 7 year, I knew, especially after just having the experience of Jim's passing, that she is going to have some struggle. I'm going to say struggle. There's going to be some struggle, because like you said, you're doing good, and then all of a sudden you get slammed into the ground. And you're like, what the hell? So I needed to pass that information along, because I knew how much I struggled last year in my 7 year, and this year is her 7 year. And it's like, take that time for herself to do the introspection, like just now getting over this not feeling well. But she picked up her book and said, what does this book say about what I'm experiencing in my physical body? And she listened, and she's taking steps to heal that internally, not necessarily the illness or the discomfort she's feeling, the emotional stuff that's attached to it. And that is
Exactly.
the work. That's the internal reflection. That's the internal work that has to be done for us to move forward in our life in a different way. Otherwise, you just keep showing up the same way you've been showing up and experiencing the same physical issues, and you just keep pushing it down.
Yeah.
So
If we,
anyway, let me say this one day. I want to say this real quick. I'm in an 8-year now. It's been amazing already so far. And Bev, you have so much to look forward to. So do the work this year in your 7-year, because 8 is going to be great.
nice. And I was just going to say that, like, really, all I'm doing is setting the stage. If I change it from work, because work always feels like you got to do something, I'm in a not doing something this year.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, and a lot of it's just feeling the emotion too, because I've been one person that would, you know, kind of hide it into the body or press it down and don't, you know, put it in boxes inside myself and don't worry about it till later. And now I'm having to feel all those emotions. And I shouldn't say having to, I get to. Because imagine, that's just like walking around, we talked before, of carrying all your crap on your shoulders from your whole life. You know, like everything you've ever owned, ever, carrying all of it with you every single day, all your life. You just can't do it. It's not possible. And that's been it's relieving. It's not always easy going through this part of it, because it's like so many things. I've always been a person that buried everything inside I had.
Mhm.
So it's like all this stuff has to come out. So it's this emotional stuff. It's been there forever. And just like you said, it wasn't just to get rid of the illness. It was like, what is this trying to tell me? And it got loud and in my face. So I
And it's
appreciate
stuff,
it.
yeah, and it's stuff that the emotions that you have inside that have been uh, either unconsciously you've been doing it, having some kind of emotional discord, or it is the emotions buried from past experiences, like
Yes.
years ago, right?
Yes.
And when it shows up in our physical body through some kind of a illness, disease, discomfort, discord, pain, our body's telling us there's something to look at and to heal. And we get these messages that, oh, my stomach doesn't feel well and I'm vomiting and it's coming out the other end and I don't know what's going on with me. And oh, well, I was around this person and they must have gave it to me. Right now we're blaming.
Yeah.
They must have gave it to me. We're pointing the finger instead of saying, oh, I attracted this because the book's telling me I'm not processing my emotions. I'm not able to digest life or what I'm witnessing or what I have witnessed. Um, I'm in turmoil of what's going on around me, and I don't know how to process that. And that's what has to do with our digestive system. And then when we change our perspective, change how we're viewing things, and turn it into, oh, this is the way I could see this differently, or I can believe that everything's happening for a reason and there's something good to come out of this. Even though I don't agree with it right now, I can change my perspective, and that will help heal the body quicker. um, but it's being able to acknowledge that I have to change the way I'm viewing this, or I need to change the way I'm thinking or speaking or feeling or my actions. And so that's a choice. And like Bev said, you can think of it as it's hard work to do that, or you could think of it as I get to do this. Because when you get to do it, that means you're willing to be open to something different and new, instead of just bumping it around in life the way you've been doing it and it not working. Things don't work out.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel comfortable when you're paying attention to how you feel. And that's what all of it is, bringing me right back to my attention, right? All of it's bringing me right back to me. Pay attention to me. I see clients all the time for massage, and it's like they might come in, and the thing is, they could hear, I should drink more water. I should drink more water. I should drink more water. They don't listen. But a lot of times that's a little voice. So it starts out little. Next thing you know, your neck's hurting, your head's hurting, you're having migraines. But everything was a process. It was a slow process. And every one of those times you were being notified, you ignored it every single time, because it really doesn't have to do with the pain. It has to do with what the emotion, what's going on here. And sometimes, like, I've gotten information that'll tell me exactly why I'm behaving this way or why I feel this way. And then other times it's just a matter of just feeling the emotion. It's just a matter of just feeling it. And that's, I mean, it's just that simple. And sometimes we just don't want to feel it. Let's face it. We've gone our whole lives being, gone through all kinds of stuff, the turmoils, the sadness, the heartbreaks, the abandonments, a million things, hurt. And it's like, we don't want to feel those things again. So we like cut ourselves off from it. But we've talked about that before. But when you cut yourself off from it, you're cutting yourself off from life. You're cutting yourself off from thriving. Now you're just existing. Now you're in fight or flight all the time.
And when you cut yourself off from life, think about your blood, because the blood is what gives you life, or your oxygen gives you life. So if you cut yourself, quote unquote, right, cut yourself off from life, then there may be possibility that you're going to have some kind of lung issue, breathing issue, or blood issue, heart issue.
Yeah.
So the one thing that got my attention about this years and years ago, when I started learning about all this, healing emotions will help heal the physical body, is like, it was guaranteed twice a year I would get a sinus infection. I think I shared this before in one of our other podcasts. Twice a year, guaranteed, I was going to get a sinus infection. Well, when I started learning about it, I actually learned about this healing through Louise Hay's book, First, You Can Heal Your Life. And the sinuses has to do with somebody irritated. This is what resonated with me at that time. Somebody in my life, I was giving my power to, because I was allowing them to irritate the hell out of me. Like, it was intense. And that's why I'd have these intense sinus infections. So it took a while, because I was in the learning process and learning stages of all this. And so it took me a while to understand the things that I needed to heal within, the emotions that I needed to heal within myself, based on the experiences I had, and how I was giving my power away, and how I was getting irritated. And like, very seldom do I get sinus infections, right, anymore. Well, the other day, somebody who's close to me is saying that allergy season. And I'm so stuffy. Well, another person in my life, very close to me, kind of irritated me the other day, like 2 days ago. What do you think happened? I started feeling those allergy symptoms, the eyes, the sinuses, the throat, and I got stuffed up on the right side just a little bit. Well, the right side is the masculine side. This person who I allowed to irritate me is male. And I felt that stuffiness on the right side of my sinuses. And I was like, I know what it is. I got to change that within me, how I'm perceiving it. I got to change my perspective, change my way of thinking about it. Gone, like gone, done. Amazing.
Yeah.
But also what I want to add to that is that my deep belief that works.
And our beliefs are powerful.
Yes.
They really are. Because if you believe, some people believe if they get to that doctor is going to heal them.
Yep.
So it does. But the doctor didn't heal them.
Or you drink that nasty ass vinegar every day. It's going to heal you. Wherever you put your belief in, that's the strongest power you have.
Yeah.
And I want my physical body, I deeply believe, it's not that I want to, but I deeply believe that we have the ability to heal ourselves. And this is why Bev and I keep this book very close to us, because every time something physically happens, bam, that's the first thing I pick up. I don't pick up the phone, call the doctor. I pick that book up. I go, what am I doing emotionally? How am I thinking? What am I saying? How am I feeling? What are my actions? This book will tell me. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I've recognized it. Done. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's heal this. Let's let that emotion surface so I can look at it and go, okay, I got to change this. I get to change this. My body's telling me it's time to change this. I'm on it, because feeling miserable is not exciting to me. Like, I don't need to feel miserable in order to get attention. And a lot of people want to feel miserable because, one, they want to suffer because they don't feel like they deserve anything better. And two, it's another way to get attention. That little person inside that didn't get the attention that they needed when they were younger, maybe was sick a lot because that's how they did get the attention. Now, as an adult, that little person inside still wanting the attention that you, as the adult, you're not giving yourself that attention. The little person inside is fighting for that attention, and the way they're going to get your attention is by making you sick. So you get sick. Now you have to attend to your body. If you want to heal in whatever way that is, whether it's calling the doctor or staying home and resting or doing some emotional work, the little person inside is getting the attention it needs. And so keep that in mind. If you're sick a lot, is that something that you did when you were little just to get attention, to feel that nurturing, to feel that love? Because if you're sick a lot now, that may be the same thing. You yourself are not giving yourself the attention and nurturing you need, and you keep ignoring yourself. And so you're going to get sick to get the attention you need, not necessarily from yourself, but from somebody else.
And also what kind of hit me too is sometimes you're tired. You're tired and you just don't know how to do anything else. And we expect people to read our minds sometimes and, to come and help us. And it's learning how to ask for help too. So there's so much to be learned from all that stuff. Because sometimes if you're just going, you get sick and it kind of just takes you down. And now you got to ask someone for help, which is not always easy when you've grown up expecting everyone to read your mind. Because I have done that a few times. Yep. But sometimes I just don't have nothing more to give. That's it. I just don't have nothing more. And then it's like you need help from somebody else.
Absolutely.
At least a lot of times you think that you do. It's just a matter, it all boils down to listening to self, really. Because we would know, take 5 minutes to go take a breath, walk outside for a few minutes, go put your feet in some dirt for 5 minutes, go, to feel more grounded, go close your eyes for 15 minutes, whatever it is, go take some deep breaths.
I want to add to that too, is that when you're doing emotional work, it is a majority of the time feeling the pain. And the reason why we do some of the things we do, such as alcohol and smoking and overeating and excessive shopping, could be excessive porn, that you're trying to cover up the pain. So I'm just going to use smoking because smoking was one of the things. Alcohol was a big thing, but smoking, I would get stressed. That's majority of the time why people smoke, because they're stressed and they think that puffing on a smoke stick's gonna relax them for however much time till that next moment that they get to go have another break or lunch and have some more cigarettes. But I was like, okay, well, I'm stressed, I'm gonna have a cigarette. I have the cigarette and go back to work, get stressed. Oh, I'm stressed. And you go have another cigarette, right? So we play this. Well, the stress wasn't the job. The stress was, I got to get this right. I got to do a good job. I feel like I'm not handling this well enough, and I'm not going to get it right, and because I feel that way, now I'm stressed, so I'm going to go smoke. Well, I was learning this behavior, this habit that I was having. It was a short-lived habit that even if I smoked, the stress was still there, the problem was still there, the job was still there, the expectations were still there, the disappointments were still there, the past experiences still happened. Like that cigarette didn't take any of that away. It was a chemical I was putting in my body to give me a moment of relief, but 10, 15, 30 hour later, I was right back in it. So that it took me some time to figure out this was not, by smoking, it was not solving my problem internally, because the same thing with the alcohol. The alcohol did not solve my problem, because the next day I was still there, and everything that was in here was still showing up the next day with my emotional turmoil that I thought I could just keep pushing down. And when I learned through like Louise Hay's book, Wayne Dyer, Inna Segal's, like when I was learning these healing process of the emotions that were showing up because of my past, because of my history, like the alcohol wasn't a necessity, the smoking not a necessity, the anger, the flares of anger was not a necessity. That all subsided. Like it was like, oh, I don't need this anymore because I don't have all that turmoil inside of me anymore.
I understand that pretty well. I was a smoker for many years, and it just became a hat. Really, it was just a habit. It's just not the exact habit. I mean, we can stop and take a breath. There's other ways of handling things, like you said, feeling things. Because I know drinking for me was just not feeling anything. It did help you get in the moment for a while, but and that's something else that's been described to me too. Just like gambling, sitting there and gambling is, playing that video, the slot machine or whatever. They're in the moment, right that moment. Or
Yeah.
maybe not dealing with anything, but you're in the moment, right that moment, all the time
It's
until
the
you're not.
same with scrolling through social media.
Yeah,
We have the pain inside that we don't want to face, so we have to cover it up by doing something that's going to give us pleasure. So as long as I'm doing something pleasurable, I don't have to face the pain that has been pushed down within me. And there's times like I will scroll through social media, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, why am I even doing this? What am I avoiding? What is it that I could be doing that, I'm not going to get this time back? And so what is there I could do that could still feel pleasurable, or I could get something done? Maybe there's a task I'm procrastinating on, right? I got to look at that. Why am I sitting here mindlessly scrolling? What is this doing for me? And it's not saying that you're right or you're wrong in what you're doing. It's saying be aware, be attentive to how you're operating. Because if you're desiring to have a different life than what you have, then be interested in how you're operating and what you can do to change that so that your life can unfold in a way that is more pleasurable without needing to cover up the pain.
yeah. And then in the process, you're actually learning to slow down, to listen. You start recognizing your intuition. You start recognizing what are your thoughts, and that's when it becomes easier to follow your directions. That's when it becomes easier to live life the way you're meant to live it,
And I just
joyfully.
Yeah, and I just want to point this out. I don't know if any of you followed Jamie Kern Lima recently in her new book, Believe It. she talks about, I'm reading the book right now, and she talks about in there quite frequently about your intuition. This is a billionaire lady. She sold her company for $1 billion, and she wrote a book, and she's talking about intuition. She uses the words energy and vibration. She's talking about that inner knowing. Your multimillionaire people who are male, they're going to more likely say that gut feeling. Women are going to use the word intuition. And I'm pointing this out because Bev and I have been talking about this for a while. We've been doing this for a year, by the way. April 22nd is our 1-year anniversary. So
Nice.
this podcast that we're doing right now is going to come out on April 22nd. So woo woo, happy anniversary.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but we've been talking about this intuition. Some people who will be in their power will say their psychic abilities. We've been talking about this for a while, and we learned it from other teachers. So this stuff has been going on for years, for decades. But now more people are understanding how important our intuition is. And now you have billionaires talking about it.
Yeah.
So if you have a billionaire talking about her intuition and her inner guidance and her energy and her vibration and her spiritual connection and listening to those messages, then we're not blowing smoke, right? We didn't make this stuff up. This is the stuff that's been being taught for decades. But now it is more understanding of how imperative it is to be connected to your intuition and utilizing it.
And that's what they refer to when you hear people talking about the awakening. This is the awakening when you become aware more of yourself, of your intuition, of your guidance. Because once you become aware of that stuff, there's so much more that comes with it than you are. I mean, maybe that freaks some people out, but when you're going through the process, you gain your power back. You gain strength. You're not fearful anymore, and that's really you can start talking about people being in 3D and 4D and 5D, and they talk about being in 5D. There is no fear. So if you're in this space right now where you're dealing with a lot of fear and anger, and which all boils back down to fear, because I believe you only really have two emotions: it's fear or love. Everything comes back down to. So if you're pissed off and you're angry, there's something that you're fearing at the bottom of that. If you're sad, there's a fear below it. But once we work through all this stuff, the next phase that you're setting the stage for is to be in like a 5D, or to be in a place of no fear, to be in a place of living and thriving. And it's like and we've talked before about how we're kind of contagious in so many ways, if we want to look at it that way. When we're in such a positive, uplifted energy, it's contagious. You feel it. Everybody feels it, and they get moved up. When we've talked about some of these experiences that have happened, it's uplifting. You might get goosebumps. That's a confirmation of truth for me, and it has been for a lot of other people. But it's just noticing all those little things, it's paying attention to every single one of those details. And it's not because you have to, it's because, oh my God, this is my experience. This is so exciting. I get to live like this in every moment. So that's how we can be. Or you can be the same way that you have always been, keep going through the same muck, the same struggle, the same unhappiness, or you end up going through the work. And for me, we've talked about it before. You talked about you got to do the work, and I was like, fuck you. I don't got to do the work. I didn't say it out loud, but in my mind, it's like, fuck, I ain't doing no fucking work.
That's what I said. I ain't fucking meditating. I ain't doing it.
But it's not work, and that's the thing. Once you get your mind around it, it's almost, I would say, it's just part of. It's like breathing. It's a necessity. It really is. It really helps you change everything. But then you see things, and you hear things, and you get messages, and it's, to me, that's exciting. That's super exciting. If I'm getting a message at night that I've got $200,000 coming to me. Well, then I got $200,000. I don't know how it's going to get here or where it's going to come from. I don't care. But when I get it, I'll be like, oh, they told me. They
Yay.
told me that was going to happen. Or, just so many different things. You have more of an interaction with spirit and more with messages. And for me, it's like with staying out of the want, because I wanted to be, I wanted to be like the Long Island medium or the Hollywood medium and have all these things. We all have all these things. We all have these abilities. But when we're in a want and a need, it's like holding the tree right out in front of you. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it because it's always going to be a want and it's always going to be a need. And it's just letting go. It's just changing where your mind's going. You're just letting go. It is just being present.
And I want to reiterate about having to change. So you could get that 2,000. Let's be real. You can
Oh,
focus
yeah.
on that $2,000 and receive it very easily. However, if Bev's in a space where she doesn't feel worthy and deserving, or she hasn't changed her mindset about the energy of that $2,000, then that $2,000 is going to be gone very quickly, and she's going to be more in debt than she was. This has been proven and seen over and over and over with people who win the lottery. They want to win the $1 million. Okay, great. But they get it. They are not prepared in their mindset of how to honor that $1 million. So the $1 million is gone very quickly, and they are worse off than they were before they had it. Because we're not prepared mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually to receive that amount. And it doesn't matter. It could be $1 million. It could be a new house. It could be a new car. It could be somebody just giving you a gift. It's in the receiving and honoring that, but being prepared, because a person who focuses on only having $100 in their bank account and worried about their bills is not prepared to receive $1 million and know how to handle that.
No, because as soon as you spend $1, now you don't have $1 million anymore. And that becomes a fear too, trying to hold on to something.
Yeah,
doesn't matter how much it is. Yeah.
all the people in the woodwork come out and want their hand in it and want to borrow and they have their needs, and all the toys and stuff that you wanted with that $1 million. Well, you start spending that $1 million. Now you don't have the $1 million, and then you start getting low on that $1 million, and now it's a fear. I don't have my million, right? It's just that damn hamster wheel we keep getting on every week when we come on here and talk, that we perpetuate the habits, the beliefs, and the behaviors patterns that we have that keeps us stuck where we are. So a good example is being an introvert wanting to be a teacher. That's not a good fit. That doesn't work. If I want to be in front of people, being an introvert is not going to be a fit for that career. So I had to learn to get out of that shyness, that timidness, that being intimidated, and being able to step into my power and be confident and be able to speak and know that what I say has value, and people are going to listen. An introvert doesn't want to be seen, doesn't want to be heard, they just want to be in the shadows and not even be acknowledged. That doesn't work if I want to be a teacher. That doesn't work if I want to be doing this with Bev. I had to shift. I had to change the person I was to be the person that I am in order to do what I want to do. But I still have work that needs to be done to go from where I am now to where I'm headed. And it's not that I have to do all of that right now. I do it along the way. It's a journey. I just do it along the way. But I keep getting better and better and better. I keep shifting my mindset more and more and more. And The more I do it, the better things get. And the more I do it, the better things get. And the person that I am today and the person I'm going to be in 20 or 30 years isn't even close to the person I am right now or was.
Stop comparing yourself to others. That's another thing that comes up, really. And because we're all, like you're talking about, you're on your journey. Well, if we want to just use numerology, last year you were a 7. Now you're an 8. I cannot compare myself to you because you're already past that phase. I'm in this phase of learning about myself. And it's like, what am I avoiding? What do I need to learn from this? Like all these questions. So it's like, don't compare yourself and be like, God, I wish I had. You're in the journey to do that. All that person is not like, I wish I had. That person is like, let me know this is what you can have. Take your journey. Quit focusing in on me. It's time for you to take your steps on your journey.
And that's what I was sharing earlier when I was saying, okay, Bev, you're in a 7-year. I was there last year. I know what it did to me. So prepare yourself emotionally and mentally, because sister, it's coming. This is a year for you to just breathe.
Yeah, and I couldn't prepare myself for it, but you gave me a kind of a platform for me to look at. Like, this is possible. This is what you could be going through. And now that I'm going through it, I don't feel like I'm going crazy. So that's kind of what we're all here for, to let you know, we're all awakening, whether you want it or not. But it's like, we're letting you know that you're not crazy. We're all going through stuff right now. And we can look at it from a victim standpoint and think it's a horrible thing and it's scary. And I heard someone say, oh my God, once you awaken, you can't go back. Why would you want to?
Wow.
That means you're not awakened yet, but you're still in that fear space, but you're in the process of growing past it. And it's all right. It's all right that you feel that way right this minute. It's all right that I have shitty days some days. It's all right that I'm like, I don't want to fucking do anything today. I don't want to be here. I don't want to. It's all right to feel those feelings, but just to feel them, not to act on them. That means go rest. Call in sick that day. Take some time for yourself.
If you're in a 7-year, you might call in a lot.
Seriously.
And it wasn't to tell Bev, oh, I did it last year, and it wasn't to brag or anything. It was to say, Bev, this is what a 7-year could be like. So just know, I'm giving you some hints. I'm giving you some information that might be beneficial going into your year. And now that I'm in an 8-year and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Now what I'm telling Bev is like, Bev, when you get through this 7-year, oh my gosh, it's going to be so cool. You do the work and your 8-year is going to be amazing. So do it, sister. Breathe. Take the time to heal. Take the time to journal. Take the time to meditate. Take the time to go for a walk and nurture yourself, right? And because next year, girlfriend, I'm so excited to wait. And I'm excited to see what happens.
I am too, but I like where I'm at. And when you did tell me all that stuff, you really did come from a more of a neutral place. Like, this is the stuff that I did. And it's like, I would recognize some things. I could recognize sometimes when you were pushing against and wanting things to be a certain way. I could recognize it because I did it. I had done it. And then I've caught myself doing it this year. And it's like that. And because of what you told me, I can slow down a little bit more. I can be at ease a little bit more. I don't feel the pressure of that I have to be a certain way or do a certain thing. It's really all about me finding out about me. It's, what do I like? What's my favorite color? What do I like to dress like? What colors do I want to wear today? How do I want my hair? You know, what do I want to see outside and around me? How do I want to feel inside of me? It's a million things, but it's fun. It can be.
Fun. It can be fun, absolutely. And that's another perspective that it can be. I find it so interesting to learn about myself that when I pick up this book and it says The Secret Language of Your Body, when I pick up that book and it says this is probably what's going on, I'm like, yep, it sure is. Thank you for bringing that to my awareness so I can make a change.
Yeah.
So I can make a change. Not everybody else around me. I get to make this change so I can be better in myself, so my body can operate on a better level. And so get the tools you need to help you in going through your life. hopefully Bev and I are one of those tools, because we come and we talk about the things that we experience and how we're navigating through it. And this is the same thing as me telling Bev, you're going into a 7 year, this is what you could be expecting. And it's helping you, it's helping each other. It's saying, hey, I've been through this, and these are the tools and things that have helped me. So if you find yourself in that same similar, not always the same, but similar position, remember, I had these tools that I could share with you, and I'm willing to do that. So that's why Bev and I show up every week, is to give you that information and say, hey, this is what's worked for us. Doesn't mean it's the do all be all. Doesn't mean it's 100% for everybody, because we're all different. But at least you're being open to a new way of understanding, a new perspective, looking at things differently, and maybe being introduced to some tools and techniques that you wouldn't have been introduced to otherwise.
It's true. And the book really just helps put your pain or your whatever's going on in your body into emotional words. Because sometimes we want to have answers for things and we don't always have the answers. There's such great stuff in that book. Not that we're freaking selling it, because
Yeah, we're not getting
we don't
anything.
know anything. We don't know these people or anything like that. We just know that the book has worked, and it does put information in there. And it's like I said, it puts puts some of the things that you're feeling in your body into words. And a lot of times I couldn't have identified a lot of that stuff. And now it just feels like a natural thing for me just to kind of resort back to my book to kind of let me know what's going on. I bought my kids books, and it's like they'll constantly tell me, well, I got this going on. Did you look at your book? No.
That's
They will at some point.
everybody in this
Yeah.
household. They have me. I'm like, oh, did you look that up? No. I'm like, okay, it's not for me to fix it. You got
No.
the tool. You got the tool. Oh, you just got to walk into this room, and all the books I have, you can figure shit out. I have a library of books that will help people figure their shit out in my household, and they don't do it. It's not my job. Not my job to fix it. If they want to make a change, that's up to them. What I have to be attentive to is me and how I show up.
That's right. And when you give a gift, that's another thing too. That's a lesson. It's whatever they want to do with it. That's it. Exactly. Once it leaves your hands, exactly. That's it.
That's it.
You don't have an opinion about it. You don't have an emotional attachment to it, how they responded to it. You don't have, really, it's nothing. But that's all, to me, that's all like easy learning process at this point where I'm at it. Maybe it wasn't initially. Maybe it took me a while to get there. Probably did. Just because of the way I used to be. But I don't understand why there's no smoke in here.
Well, maybe that's just the universe saying, you girls are awesome. You're nailing it.
So crazy.
That is fun. We're gonna have to do we're gonna have to do a podcast now. Okay, so lessons over. We brought information to you. We're gonna have to do a podcast where we're just sharing stories of crazy shit that has happened, like spiritual stuff. Because man, over these past 3 months, I have some really cool stuff that's happened.
Yeah, I wrote down alarm because I'm gonna have to see what I can find about it because it went off. And I don't even remember what we were talking about when it went off the first time. There's no cooking in the house. I have no candles. I have not lit any sage. There's nothing in here at all, and it's going off. So I don't understand.
Better go
So crazy.
meditate, Bev.
Yeah.
All right, my friends.
I'm
Thank
on
you.
fire.
Oh yes, you are. Maybe that's the message. Bev is on fire. Nice. You smoking, girl.
That's funny.
So thank you for being with us. Tea Time with Amie and Bev. And our goal each week is just bring some beneficial information to help you on your life journey. And we appreciate your time and energy. We know it's valuable and that you would give that time and energy to us and what we have to say. We just pray that you are implementing whatever resonates with you into your life and not just listening.
That's right. So have a harmonious week.
Harmonious week. I'll do that. Thank you.